Hello Mason Nation and welcome to Mason Sports Insider. I am Tyler Byram, here to give you the latest in George Mason athletic news. We will start with the men's volleyball team who headed off for a two-game EIVA road trip on the weekend. First up, the Crimson from Harvard. The Crimson led the series 1-0 after a 3-1 victory in the RAC earlier on in the season. Mason, however, tried to jump out and get the momentum going. Mason hitters struggled to get place on their balls. Paco Velez was the only Patriot that was able to record double-digit kills with 10 for Mason. Christian Melias had 9 digs, leading the green and gold defensively. Dom Edgley played in all 4 sets for the game, getting 4 kills with a 67% attack percentage. Despite their efforts, however, Mason was only able to win 1 set on the night with a 25-18 mark on the second. This 27 errors were too much to overcome as Harvard would get the victory 3-1. Playing Sacred Heart in the next game, the struggles continued for the green and gold, falling behind 2-0. However, Jack Wilson led the Patriots with the comeback and 24 kills in the game. That led the team along with Hunter Stevens, who netted 10. Melias and Radislav Popov led the team defensively with 11 and 10 digs respectively. The comeback was prompted by a switch from Coach Chow that brought in the redshirt freshman Weston Barnes to replace Melias in the libero position. Melias then got moved over to Paco Velez's spot as an outside hitter as Velez got turned on the bench. From there, Melias recorded 8 kills as the team notched 6.5 blocks and would give the team the momentum to take the 5-set comeback victory 3-2 over Sacred Heart. The victory, paired with losses from St. Francis, clinched an EIVA postseason spot for the Patriots. The team now stands with an even 500 record across the board with a 12-12 overall and 5-5 conference record. The team still has a chance to pass Princeton for the number 3 spot in the standings with a home doubleheader coming up this weekend. Before action took place this week, Kent Blackstone of the baseball team earned the Atlantic 10 Co-Player of the Week honor. This came after a 5-game week in which he batted .474 with 9 hits, 6 runs, and 6 RBIs. Blackstone also recorded 3 doubles and his NCAA leading 8th triple on the year. Originally, the team was slated to start the week against Georgetown. However, due to rain, the team had to wait until Wednesday to start the action against Towson. This will conclude the 2-game regular season series between the 2 squads. Mason kept with the Tigers early on and kept it a 3-3 game until the teams headed to the 4th. There, Towson recorded 6 runs from only 4 hits from Mason's pitcher Tyler Cardas, opening the game up 9-3. From that point, the Tigers were able to cruise to a victory 12-4. The team then kicked off an out-of-conference series against Canisius for the weekend. Jake Kalish got the start for the Patriots on the mound, lasting 5 innings and allowing only 2 runs. Through his pitching, Mason never trailed in this game and was at one point up 6-1. Offensively, the team recorded 16 total hits, with 3 each coming from Luke Willis, who went 3 for 5 on the day, and Brandon Gum, who went 3 for 4 on the day with 2 runs scored. The Green and Gold would win this game 7-4. The second game of the series did not go as planned, however. John Williams, starting for Mason, kept the Golden Griffins scoreless with only 5 hits after 3 innings. However, it would be scoreless no more as Canisius would knock in 2 runs, ending Williams' day. In the later innings, the Golden Griffins would continue to tally up runs, bringing up their total to 8 on the day. The Patriots would only get 2 runs in the day, the first from a double from Luke Willis that scored Tyler Nellen, and the other being from Willis as the Patriots would lose 8-2. Wrapping up the series on Sunday, the Patriots kept Canisius off the scoreboard for the first 5 innings thanks to pitcher Tyler Zombro. Holding a 1-0 lead, Mason jumped on with 4 hits, 3 walks, and an error from Canisius to score 6 more runs. Brady Acker brought home 2 with a single, as well as Brandon Gum. And before the inning was done, Mason was holding on to a 7-0 lead. Canisius would make things interesting at the bottom half of that inning, but the team would eventually hold on and get the win 8-3. While this out-of-conference series did not affect the Atlantic 10 standings, the Patriots remain in 10th place with the record standing at 16-20-1 on the year, 5-7 in the A10. Again, only the top 6 teams in the conference make the postseason. The men's tennis team started their final week of the regular season hosting Georgetown. Kicking off the action in doubles, Mason won both the number 1 and number 2 courts by a score of 8-3, netting in the doubles point. Moving over to singles, Connor Moran and Daniel Gutierrez of Mason scored early wins, putting Mason on top momentarily 3-0. Georgetown then went on to win the courts 2 through 4, but a court 1 victory by Jimmy Lange 6-4, 7-5 clinched the 4-3 victory over the Hoyas, their 5th over the past 6 games. In the next match against George Washington, the team could not keep up with the momentum and lost all but 2 matches to the Colonials. Recording the victories first in doubles was the team of Aaron Capitel and Nick Barker, who got a 9-8 with a 7-2 score in the tiebreaker win. But it would not count as the other 2 doubles teams fell, giving GW the point. In singles, Joe Hill won his number 3 court match over Chris Fletcher 3-6, 7-6, 10-0, recording the only point for Mason as they fell 6-1. Getting right back in it on Sunday, the team took on Duquesne. Mason started out with the doubles point with a win in the number 1 and number 3 courts, heading into singles with the momentum. However, the Dukes would split the matches, winning the number 2, 4, and 6 matches as Jimmy Lange, Joe Hill, and Connor Moran all recorded victories at 1, 3, and 5. Those 3 wins, in addition to the doubles, gave Masons the 4-3 victory, concluding regular season play. The team record stands at 10-11 on the year, winning 3 of the 7 A10 matches they played in this season. The team will now await the rankings for the Atlantic 10 Championships that will be held later on this week. After a performance the week prior, Taylor Carpentier of the women's lacrosse team was named Atlantic 10 Rookie of the Week. She received this honor after the team defeated Richmond, giving the Spiders their first A10 loss by the score of 8-5. In that game, Carpentier recorded 13 saves while only allowing 5 goals. At the time of the award, she was 2nd in the Atlantic 10 in saves and 20th nationally. Continuing her dominance in front of the net, Carpentier led the team into the lone matchup against St. Bonaventure. The Patriots carried the momentum from the previous weekend, jumping out to a 10-0 lead with 8 minutes still remaining in the first half. In keeping the opponent scoreless, Carpentier would record a pair of monster saves of her total 11 in the game. Eventually, however, St. Bonaventure would get on the board, but it would be too much of a deficit for them to overcome, as Mason would go on to get the victory 18-9. The team was led by Melissa Lobocaro, who tallied 3 goals in the match. Patriots, who were on the bench, were able to get ample playing time with the scoring margin, including Holly Tavis, Kristen Morgan, and Hannah Warpinski scoring their first ever goals as NCAA athletes. This Atlantic 10 victory bumps the Patriots to a 9-5 record on the year with a 4-2 record in the conference. Currently, the team is tied 3rd with their revolutionary rival George Washington, who they will face later on in the week. Heading into the Atlantic 10 Championships, the women's tennis team received the 9th seed out of 14 teams, setting themselves up for an opening round match versus 8th seeded George Washington. The match started with a close battle in doubles, with the Colonials taking the 1st and 3rd courts. This allowed them to take the doubles point and heading into the singles matches with a 1-0 lead. In singles, the only Patriot to come away with a victory was Morgan Yang, who beat Grace Edger 6-4, 6-3, as Mason fell on the 1, 3, and 6 courts. This put George Washington on top 4-1, giving them the match. Olivia Lacey Thompson, playing on court 5, was on her way to a victory over Allison Hansen, but due to the completion of the competition, the result did not matter. The loss to George Washington concludes the season for the Green and Gold with a 16-8 overall record. This year was one of the more successful ones for the program, with dominating performances from everyone on the roster. Sue Erdenbat won the most matches on the year with a 13-8 record. Right behind her, Olivia Lacey Thompson and Morgan Yang each tallied 11 wins. Marique Burrs also notched 10 wins. The most successful doubles team was the duo of Burrs and Yang, reaching 13 wins, 7 of them being on the court 1. The team finishes the year with no seniors on the roster, and if all the players return, the squad can expect even more success for the upcoming season. As far as the Atlantic 10 Championships are concerned, the number 1 seeded VCU Rams went on to win the A10 title, their 3rd one in a row. Mason played the Rams earlier in the year and fell 5-0. The softball team had a relatively quiet week, only playing Rhode Island for a 3-game series. In the first game of the series, Mason got off to a hot start in the first with an RBI from Casey Price in the first and one from Liz Seymour in the second. The Rams tied it up at 2 at the bottom of that inning, but a Katie Kitts 2-run homer would essentially put the deficit too high for Rhode Island as Christina Gabrielle held off the comeback attempt after pitching the entire game, allowing 4 runs to cross and earning the 8-4 victory. Right after that game, Mason continued the scoring surge, getting a 1-0 lead after 1. Later on, with a 2-0 lead, the green and gold would break open the scoring thanks to an RBI from Seymour in the 4th and a solo shot in the 7th. That was followed up by a 2 RBI double from Sarah Solano. Pitching, Casey Herring pitched an entire game, as well as accruing only 1 run against her. Mace would get the dominating win, 8-1, taking a 2-0 series lead. In the final game of the series at Rhode Island, both teams combined for 17 runs, the highest scoring game of the series. It did not start that way, however. The game was scoreless until the 3rd inning when 4 Patriots of Price, Brenna Boyd, Julia Karsnecki, and Solano each picked up an RBI. The Rams somehow would eventually tie it up at 4 in the 7th, forcing extra innings. Moving on to the 9th, Brooke Blankenship, who was having a quiet series, crushed a 3-run home run that looked to seal the deal for the green and gold. Rhode Island, however, would do the same off of the bat of Jenna Cubello, tying it at 7 and forcing yet another inning. With Blankenship at bat once again and 2 runners on, she hit another 3-run homer, giving her a total of 6 RBIs on the day and the 10-7 victory for the Patriots. With the 3-game sweep, Mace now moves into sole possession of 4th place with a 10-7 conference record, with the top 6 teams advancing to the Atlantic 10 Championship Tournament. The team holds a game-and-a-half advantage over St. Joseph's, who is now in 7th place. The outdoor track and field team received 2 awards before action this week. The first going to Siobhan Briscoe, being named Atlantic 10 Co-Performer of the Week after qualifying for the ECAC in the 100-meter hurdles and the 400-meter hurdles. The second was given to Talisha Watts for earning Co-Rookie of the Week honor. Watts also qualified for the ECAC in the high jump with a mark that ties her for 8th in Mason's all-time history. At the Michael Johnson Invitational, Taylor Sharp, Bernard Freeman, and Daquan Smalls all qualified for postseason competition. Sharp in the 400-meter dash, and Freeman and Smalls in the 200-meter. The men's 4x100-meter team also qualified for the IC4As with a 3rd place result with 40.26 seconds. At the Larry Ellis Invitational, Bethany Shadowbean led the way with another incredible result in the 5,000-meter run with a time of 16 minutes and 21.9 seconds, netting a 2nd place finish. The only Patriot earning a postseason spot in this Invitational was Michael Conway, who recorded a personal record in the 5,000-meter, and Austin Savage, who received it in the 1,500-meter, both now of which heading to the IC4As. These 2 competitions end the regular season for the outdoor track and field team, with the Atlantic 10 Championships, IC4As, ECACs, and the NCAAs forthcoming. The golf team, meanwhile, traveled to the Wolfpack Spring Open, hosted by NC State over the weekend. The team got one of their best results of the year by pacing 5th place out of the 15 schools competing. Sophomore Kyle Hart had the best performance that he had all spring, and in the tournament for Mason, posted a 2-round score of 141. This included a 69 that is 2 under par in the 2nd round that brought him up to a tie for 9th overall in the entire tournament leaderboard. The freshman phenom Brock Kovac finished with a 145 for the tournament, as he and Eric Edwards both finished in the top 30. The rowing team would conclude the weekend, hosting Delaware and UNC for a dual scrimmage. Mason got caught in tight races against Delaware, but was unable to record the victory in any of the races. As for UNC, the green and gold took 3 of the 4 races, losing only in the varsity 4+ race. Again, the team improved their overall times in nearly all of the boats and will host the annual George Cup this weekend. Well, that will end this week's edition of Mason Sports Insider. Here is this week's upcoming schedule. On Tuesday, baseball kicks off the action at JMU for a matchup at 6:30. On Wednesday, the softball team travels to Mount St. Mary's for a doubleheader at 3. From Thursday to Saturday, the outdoor track and field team travel to the Penn Relays. On Thursday through Sunday, the men's tennis team will also participate in the Atlantic 10 Championships in Mason, Ohio. From Friday to Sunday, the Golf Atlantic 10 Championships will be held in Harmony, Florida, while baseball will host a 3-game series against George Washington. On Friday, the women's lacrosse team will play George Washington at 4 o'clock. The men's volleyball team will host Princeton at 7. Moving to Saturday and Sunday, the softball team will host LaSalle for a 3-game series, while on Saturday alone, the men's volleyball team will end the regular season with a matchup against the New Jersey Institute of Technology. On Sunday, rowing, like I said before, will host the Georges Cup between Georgetown and George Washington, while the women's lacrosse team will finish the regular season at Duquesne with a game at 12 o'clock on Sunday. I would like to thank you for watching. Please like, post, and share this video all with your friends. As always, I am Tyler Byram, and I'll see you next time, Mason.